Welcome to the Traffic Domination Podcast, where entrepreneurs come for traffic answers. And here are your hosts, Rob Reese and Wayne Crowe.
Hey, Rob Reese here, along with the host with the most, Wayne Crowe.
Hey.
That's right. We are live once again. Thank you so much for checking out the Traffic Domination Podcast, where all the answers for your marketing needs come from this show. We talk about everything from your health to the dollars. Hey, what's going on, Wayne? How you doing, my man?
I'm great. How are you, mate?
Listen, I have had just an incredible week. I feel more energized than ever since last week. Our conversation with Ollie, he's kind of gave me that push. I still need to call him. I've actually texted him a couple of times, but I need to get with him. I just found out that, my kidneys are good, my liver's good. All of my numbers are good with the exception of one number, my triglycerides, and it's super high, which will affect my heart. It's I think like an enzyme or something. The triglycerides in your body directly affect how well your heart works. It's supposed to be in the range of 100 to 100 and something. Mine is in the 400s. So
400.
Yeah. So I'm a walking time bomb in that instance, but because all of my other organs are working fine, I have a chance. I'm not going to keel over anytime soon, but I need to lower sugar intake. I need to lower my cholesterol intake. I need to do a couple of things and do some more exercise. They said I need about 200 minutes of exercise per week. So I'm going to start walking and doing all of the things that I already should be doing. But overall, the reason I say I had an excellent week so far is that I've found out what the problem is, and I can treat it. So that is something that I am extremely, extremely happy about. What about yourself, man? How's your week been?
Busy week as normal, mate. Planning new things, getting things done, working on new marketing strategies, new traffic techniques, all that kind of fun stuff. As you know, you're in our groups, you know kind of what we talk about and what we get up to.
Listen, I'm going to call you the
shenanigans.
Wizard. I'm going to call you the Wizard because you're always coming up with these magic ways of driving traffic. But guys, thank you so much for once again tuning into the Traffic Domination Podcast. Also, before I forget, please make sure that you subscribe to our podcast. We're on iTunes. We're on Stitcher, all of your favorite podcast catchers. Also, don't forget to subscribe to us on Facebook. Like our page, share our stuff, and we will always be giving away cool free things for you guys in the future that will be helping you in your business. Now, I don't know if everybody can see here, but I may make some more people angry. I don't know if you figured out the numbers, Wayne, but we lost about 13 subscribers last week simply because of people getting angry about me saying fatty. But I'm gonna try to see if we can lose maybe a couple of more this week, because I am wearing a Make America Great Again hat. And if anybody knows anything about what's going on in the media, that term, MAGA, is a term that was coined by the one, the only, Donald Trump. And as we all know, everybody loves Donald Trump, right? Everybody's a huge fan. He's a family man. He's got his morals and ethics are like through the roof. He's kind of like Jesus in a way. And of course, I say that tongue in cheek, but there's a huge marketing lesson to be learned from men like Donald Trump. I don't know, Wayne, if you've been seeing some of my recent posts on Facebook, but I started out Facebook Live where I said, you should be like Donald Trump. And of course, that immediately brought in some criticisms, some sarcastic laughter, and a number of people. I have an application that tells me when people unfriend me from Facebook, and
Really?
immediately it started going unfriended.
Wow.
It was absolutely awesome.
I didn't even know there was an app that could do that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you after the show. But the lesson that one needs to learn first and foremost is that you need to put sometimes a stake in the ground on certain things. You've got to be willing to say some unpopular things. Now, you don't have to be as extravagant or as out there as someone like a Donald Trump and say you grab women by the you know what's, but what it does is it will polarize your audience. Now, I don't know about you, Wayne, but have you heard about this technique when it comes to marketing regarding polarization?
Yes, I have, mate, and I've kind of watched the master at work, and I picked up on what you were doing. I watched a kind of few people do it now, and you pick up, you think, why are their posts so black and white? Do you see what I mean? And then you think, bloody hell, look at the traction it's getting. Then it all makes sense. So it seems like I'm not I don't use this as much as I should, but fantastic technique.
Now, I'll tell you what, there is a fine line to where it can hurt you. Okay, so this is something that you definitely want to use with some wisdom, and you want to be able to still stick to your guns, but unless you have a fully developed platform, I would say use this technique in moderation. Okay, this technique in moderation can be good for you. Now, I have had the opportunity to build somewhat of a reputation over the last year and a half to 2 years to where people know my position on certain things, albeit unpopular, and yet people can still appreciate the content that I put out, even if they disagree with me. And what polarization really will do for your marketing is it will get rid of those tire kickers. It will get rid of those people who never do anything with you. They never interact with you. They never buy any of your stuff. They're just wasting space when it comes to your audience. And of course, the people in your audience are in some way, shape, or form equivalent to the amount of dollars that you're pulling into your business. And what will happen is either they're going to love you, or they're going to hate you, or they'll be indifferent. And if they hate you, they more likely or not will stick around to to see what you say next. If they love you, they're going to be the loyalist followers for as long as you're doing business. And those neutral people, they'll have a opinion about what it is that you're putting out there, but they'll say, you know what, I want nothing to do with him, and they will remove themselves from your space. And if you're talking about doing this in email, in social media aspects, in video, what you'll notice is that you'll be making more space for people who actually care about what it is that you're putting out. And guess what? They will connect on a much deeper level. This is why, Wayne, I love movies that have a bad guy and a good guy, because you're going to attach to one or the other. Typically, it's the good guy. But there are some movies where you love the bad guy. The bad guy because they're so good at being a bad guy. I remember this very vividly. Did you ever see the Batman, the Night, something Dark Knight?
Yep.
Okay,
awesome.
with what's his name as the Joker, right? He died. But he was the most brilliant bad guy, and there were some instances where people were like rooting for him when he's clearly the maniacal one that wants to kill everybody. And because he had such unpopular opinions, he was so crazy, he was so out there that you couldn't do anything but attach yourself to them, right? When you're able to do this and do it well, right, you don't want to just be offensive for the purpose of being offensive, but there is a purpose behind it, and you actually have a point to make. I think it will certainly create a better fusion between you and your audience. What do you think about that, Wayne?
Yeah, watching you, that is like watching the master at work. The way you literally dissect your audience, and I think someone like me is almost afraid a lot of the time to offend people. But then what you find anyway is those that a lot of the time you actually start quite good debates. Some people don't get offended; it just starts the ball rolling, gets a debate going almost, and it just grows that post, so it attracts more people to you. It's a fantastic way of going kind of viral. But a lot of the time, what stops us taking these actions is the haters out there, and I take an opposite kind of view to you. I want to get on with everyone. That's my kind of view. But I, believe it or not, I want to be everyone's friend. what you find anyway is people will just, if you stick your head up about the sand, above the sand, and someone doesn't like it for whatever reason, they become haters. Some people I've never spoken to, I've spoken to once, and they become haters. So it's much better if you're going to get haters, as we term them haters. You'll see loads of people talk about haters. It's much better to get them when you're building your audience and you're doing what you're doing and growing your social media, because you are very good at what you do.
Well, I want to even press in on the point a little bit further. I also want to make a point that this strategy, little do people know, this strategy has a basis in the Bible. Okay, I don't know if you've ever heard that. Okay, nope. People think that Jesus was this like tame communist hippie that just loved everyone, when in fact he talked about hell more than anyone else in the Bible. And he said these very words, okay? These will be in the red letters. You know, everybody's like, oh, what about what Jesus said? Blah, blah, blah. It's not in the red letters. It doesn't matter. Well, this is red letters from Jesus himself, okay? The Son of God. He goes, woe to you if everyone loves you, okay? Woe to you if everyone loves you. And there's a business principle in this. The business principle is that you can't serve everyone. There's going to be somebody who is unhappy with your service, who's unhappy with this and this and that. And what you can do is, when you're creating that dichotomous situation of where you're creating specifically an audience that loves you and hates you, what you'll notice is that these people will cling to you so much that they'll reach out to you to buy something. And I'll give you an example of real life example. Okay, this guy, I love this guy. Him and I share a very similar political leaning. Okay. And what ends up happening is I'll post something that's going to annoy the living daylights out of a liberal, okay? And I love you liberals. I just love making fun of you a little bit more. But what I did was I posted a kind of a promo slash jab post at liberals, and he reaches out to me. He goes, dude, I love your stuff. And he's, of course, making fun of liberals with me in private chat. He's like, by the way, do you have access to this? I'd love to buy it from you. I didn't even have to sell him anything. And it was an unrelated product. But he strictly came to me and said, hey, listen, I love your personality. I love the stuff that you put out. By the way, do you have access to this particular product? I'll buy it from you. Simply because he likes what I put out.
Yeah, that's awesome. How many is there like a ratio of how many of these type of posts you do? Because I always try and work out what people do. Is there a kind of,
for everybody's audience, it's going to be slightly different, okay? Because I've been testing it a little bit more than I used to do it in the past. In the past, I would do it maybe once every couple of months. Mainly because when I first started, Wayne, I was just like you. I wanted everyone to like me. And then when I realized that there is very little money in everyone liking you, because you're not stirring the pot enough, you're not generating enough buzz. Just think about all of these tabloid shows, right, where they're talking about so-and-so causing a ruckus, okay, and how many people love them, okay? I'm going to use a very, very bad example right now for my case, but it's going to prove my point nonetheless. Chris Brown, who's a pop star here in the States and worldwide, he was known for beating his girlfriend. I believe it was Rihanna. And guess what happened to him? People hated him. But then some of his true blue fans still stuck with him. He was in the news left and right talking about, how she needed it and this and that. And because he was able to create a divide, now this, of course, is a bad example. No one should ever beat their women or girlfriends or wives. That is a public service announcement from Traffic Domination. But the guy, he lost some fans, but he gained so much more notoriety because they were talking about him. They were talking about it so much all across the airwaves. It goes back to somewhat of the old adage, all publicity is good publicity. No publicity is bad publicity. So in a similar sense, no topic is so divisive that you can't really gain an audience following from it. Now, obviously, I would detest anybody who is involved with, hatred of like races and anything like that. But I also don't equate disagreement with hatred, where a lot of people make that distinction, or they don't make that distinction. Just because I don't agree with you, just because I don't agree with how you live or the choices you make, doesn't mean I hate you as a person. And I'll say that plainly to people. That's why people end up like disliking me because of my Donald Trump hat. It's because I purposely do stuff like this, not because he's a fan of I'm a fan of his. I'll tell you what, I agree with what a lot of what he's done. I didn't vote for the guy. I actually stayed away. I stayed away from the voting booth last presidential cycle because I didn't like anyone. But I more identify with this guy than anyone else. And I wear this not because I like the guy, but because I know it annoys people. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to like stick your neck out there, because guess what's going to happen? You're going to attract people who are just like you. And if you attract people who are just like you, guess what's going to happen? They're going to buy from you. They're going to trail you wherever you go. You go on YouTube, they're going to subscribe to your stuff. You write a blog, they're going to subscribe to your emails. You do Facebook Lives, they're going to subscribe to your lives. That's just the case of the matter. Now, if you're afraid, like my friend Wayne here, what I would say is test the waters a little bit. Just test the water a little bit. You know, when we were kids, Wayne, I don't know if you like the beach. Do you like going to the beach?
I love the beach, mate. Absolutely love it.
Love the crashing waves. I love just jumping in there when it's freezing cold. But when you're a kid, right? When you're a kid, you're like, I don't want to go in that cold water. What did you do before you went in the water, Wayne?
What did I do? I run and jump in.
You see? Okay, so this is even better for you. But most sane children take their toes and put it in the water, and put it in the water just to test the temperature. They want to make sure that it's just right. And guess what? You dip your toe in a bit, you put your foot in, you put your calf in, you put your leg in. Slowly but surely, you're getting used to it's the same temperature. It's not changing temperature, right? You're just getting used to the habit. So if you just do a little bit, post a little thing on there. I get a lot of my friends on Facebook are entrepreneurial types, and many of them are super duper liberal, and they post all sorts of stuff about conservatives, about Christians. It doesn't bother me. I learned from it. Okay, I learned from it because what they're doing is doing exactly what we're doing. Now, they'll typically cry at my post, where I'll laugh at theirs. So don't be afraid to make a little waves in the water. Dip your toe in and see what happens. See what happens. And I guarantee you'll like the results in the end.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. See what I can stir up. I don't need to try and stir stuff up. I tend to stir stuff up anyway, even without trying. So God knows what I'll be like if I actually try.
Listen, Wayne, I know that you can stir the pot a bit, What you need to do is take a knife, open a wound, throw salt in it, and see what happens. And I guarantee you'll have 100+ comments within a 24-hour period, and that will open up the floodgates, and then you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. This is what you'll end up sounding like. Okay. And there he goes.
I love these new sound effects.
Listen, guys. I just got this tool, right? I just got this tool, and it's going to allow us to play audio. We can pull in clips from YouTube, and we'll be able to comment on stuff now. But the sound effects that just comes with it are pretty awesome. Like the laser. That's a laser shot. Oh. Sounds like we're in a busy street, guys. Yes. But listen, guys, don't be afraid of causing a little bit of a stir. Now, I'm going to cause a little bit of stir real quick, Wayne. Okay, we've got another topic that is near and dear to my heart, and it might cause a little feathers to be ruffled with some of our audience here, especially in the internet marketing niche. Okay, these people that just are junkies with information products. They're junkies. I used to be a junkie, a real one. Okay, I've stuck needles in my arm. I've shoved cocaine up my nose. Ecstasy. Listen, I was so bad. I dropped about 7 pills of ecstasy one time. And I thought I was going to die. Okay, yeah. I thought I was going to die. It was like the best night of my life. but
the worst.
But my heart nearly exploded, and I do not suggest anyone do drugs. I am against drugs, anti-drugs. Don't shove it in your body. But just like I was a junkie, I just kept shoveling all of this stuff at me, to the point of where it was just overwhelming my body and the ability for my body to actually do what it needs to do to stay alive. Much like that, these internet information junkies, and I know what that's like because I used to be one, where you just are consuming information and doing nothing. You're making nothing. You're just spending. What's been your experience, Wayne? I remember you telling me a story where I was just floored with what you were telling me.
We were talking about this earlier, weren't we? But I probably won't go into that story too much. But it's I mean, internet.
Stir the pot, Wayne. Come on.
We love buyers. That is what pays us. People like you, what you used to be like. In fact, I had one last week. I spent $500 on something thinking this technique sounds awesome. I haven't even looked at it since. So I've got it a bit as well. Like, I take massive action. I very rarely study or anything. But yeah, I mean, we love buyers. I love buyers. And it's knowing, like, it sounds horrible to say, but a buyer will always be a buyer. You can tell who's buying stuff from you. And you can tell that you can just put something else in front of them and they'll buy again. Then you can put something else in front of them and they'll buy again. Then you can sell that buyer to someone else and they'll buy from them. And they just keep buying the stuff. That kind of is how that buyer's mentality works. Some people never lose it. Some people never lose that buyer's mentality. I'm pretty sure we talked about this before, and how the kind of mindset comes into it. Was that one of your sound effects, or was that?
Well, no, it was one of these nifty little wooden USB drives. Nice. Yeah, but no, I get what you're saying, and I've actually come to my own little conviction, I guess you can say, about this whole thing, because we all need buyers, right? We need buyers. That's what this industry is built on. You need to be able to present an offer and have people buy stuff. And it's just a fact of life. People open up full brick and mortar stores because people are buyers, you know. However, in our industry, there is a tendency for the same person to just continue to pack up and rack up all this stuff that they never do a thing with. Now, somebody convinced me, and I truly do believe this now. There's really no such thing as shiny object syndrome, and I'll tell you why. It has everything to do with the person's motivation level and action level, because we all need to buy stuff here and there. There are tools we need to buy. There are upgrades that we need to get. There are new techniques that are implemented on things. We need to be able to keep up with the Joneses, keep up with the times, right?
Yeah.
And I buy courses. I buy a lot of courses. But what I do that is different than somebody else is, I make money. Okay, I make money from these things. Why? Because I take massive action with the information I'm provided, and I go ahead and turn it back into dollars. My main goal is, if I see something is a profitable technique, a new profitable technique, I want to somehow figure it out, implement it in my business so that I make at least double what I invested in pretty quickly. I did that with a number of things, and there were some techniques that worked, that didn't work, and it's just a matter of testing. But the thing is that once you do this, Wayne, and you would agree, once you do this, you need to be able to, at least at some point, not necessarily immediately, but take in that information, apply it, and see if it works. And of course, if it's profitable, figure out a way of weaving it into your everyday normal business.
Yeah, exactly. One of the reasons I think I've been okay in business and all my business life and everything is I never used to read books. Never used to read books until fairly recently now. But what I do is I take massive action, and I don't care about, not that I don't care, but I go in and I think, if I get this wrong, I'll just try something else. And I've done it over the past 2-3 months over new traffic sources. I've gone in with the attitude, if anyone can get this working, I can, but if I can't, then I'll just move on to the next one. So there's a term, analysis by paralysis by analysis, the other way around. And I know a few people that will sit there all day long reading books but never take any action. Whereas I think one of the real things that I know someone else, he says he takes imperfect action all the time. And if you do that, you don't need to buy all these products. You can buy one, and if it's proven to work, so that's obviously the first thing you always think about, is someone actually making money with this? If they are, you just keep going, because there's always little snippets that people leave out, little things, but you keep going until you make it work. There's a perfect example of that as well in the training, in our coaching group. We've got a method in there that's proven to work. It's worked for multiple people. One guy, I wouldn't say his name, one guy has come along, put his own spin on it, and turned it into 6 figures a month. Wow. And that is, and that's the kind of thing, like that massive action. He took action, he looked at the stats, and he just took further action, just took massive action, and out it come. And then the opposite end of the spectrum is the people that buy the $7 product, then the upsell, the next one, then they'll buy a $5,000 coaching course, and then something else will come along, they'll stop, and then of course they'll go to another event, they'll buy a $10,000, but this time that'll be different. This time it will be different because that was before, and then they'll buy another $10,000 product, and it happens. That's how it happens. The weird thing is, like, these people will always buy. A lot of these people are, I don't know if it's, I don't know what it is, a programming in themselves where they think they feel good about spending money, or they like spending money on products. I don't know what it is. It's kind of bizarre.
Actually, they did a study. They did a study on this. What ends up happening is the more money somebody spends, the more dopamine that shoots off in their brain, and what it makes them feel like, they feel as if they are taking action by the action of buying. So when those dopamine receptors go out, and dopamine is the same drug that enhances your mind to feel the way your body feels when you take heroin. It makes you just feel good, and that goes off in your mind when you end up buying stuff in this area.
It's crazy.
Well, listen, guys. Before we go, here's how you can break the cycle, okay? Because this is how I broke the cycle. All right. What I did is I said, okay, whatever the last product it was that I bought, I was going to make sure that I made money with that product. My number one goal was to put all of my effort, time, and energy into making profit with whatever method it was that I did. And if that took me months, it was going to take months. And I did this personally, and it took 4 months for me to actually get this to work one time. I made it work. I just kept at it. It was frustrating. It was depressing. It was the most grueling time. But I tell you what, it was the largest learning experience I ever had, because I was able to finally say, you know what, I can put my head down and do the work and get a result out of it. And that's what you got to do, is whatever it is that you've bought, make sure you go through it 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 times before you move on to something else. Now, it may be that particular method is no good. There are scammers out there that put out just junk or outdated methods. However, if you don't give it enough time to actually saturate and mature, you're just not, you're not going to see something happen in a week unless you really know what you're doing.
The beautiful thing is, once you've done it once and you've seen success once, guess what?
You can replicate it.
You can replicate. You got more confidence in yourself, and you attack the next one with that same attitude. And this is kind of really what I think makes successful people, is that confidence. I've done it once, I've done it again. Once you've done it 10 times, you don't think about the failure, do you? You don't even think about whether I fail or not, because you know how to succeed. And you know there might be another 5 failures before you succeed again, but that's just part of what we kind of, it's having that immersion for long enough, immersion in what you're doing with the application of what you're doing, that brings that success. And too many people just don't give it enough time.
You know what, Wayne? I don't think we did what the hat says. I think we made the world great again with this episode.
Boom.
Mic drop. So guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast, Traffic Domination Podcast, with your host, Rob Reese, and the other host, Wayne Crowe. We gotta do
work on at the ending a bit better, haven't we?
This is like the most fun part of the show, though, because
I'm just sitting there
awkward silence. We gotta have like a little sound effect made specifically for Wayne Crowe. You should get your guy to make a little sound effect. But guys, thank you so much for being here with us. As always, we really do appreciate your listenership. Please subscribe to our podcast, and we will see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.